Hello, welcome to Microfiche Microphone. I'm Micah, and on this channel we look at microfiche from the past, old newspaper articles in the public domain. We look at them with our modern eyes, our modern perspective, and see what we can learn from them. In this microfiche time capsule, we are looking back at the Improvement era from May 1937. And this article is entitled Albert E. Bowen of the Council of the Twelve by Joseph Quinney, president of Logan Temple. So, Albert E. Bowen is someone a lot of people don't even realize was an apostle. So, that's why I wanted to talk about him today. It's one of the lesser known. He made the list of the 20 least known apostles. And, so I have written an article on him, which we will go back and take a look at after we're done reading this article. And the problem I think with him is that he was a little bit unassuming, and he wasn't very well known even in his day, really. While he was quite an intelligent man, but he wasn't very showy, and a little bit retiring, I would say. And I think that's why people don't remember him, which I think is too bad, because I believe he deserved to be remembered, So, this article is a little bit long, but it has lots of pictures, kind of like the Greatness in Men series, although this is post that, and all of those were written by Bryant S. Hinckley. This one, written by Joseph Quinney. So, let's take a look at it, but it does have lots of pictures, so let's start out with a picture. This is a picture of Albert E. Bowen. I think that he looks a little bit gentle, like he has kind of a gentle look in my opinion. Anyway, there's a little blurb at the beginning. It says, the story of a life of service that began in a log cabin in Idaho and led to a brilliant career as jurist and advocate, and is now consummated by a call to the apostleship. So this is shortly after he was called to the apostleship. Also, there's a little blurb about the author. It says, the author, a lifelong acquaintance and intimate friend of Albert E. Bowen, has here given warm insight into the background, character, and career of this distinguished man who has been called into the higher councils of the church. And there's another very blurry picture, and it says, the log cabin at Samaria, Idaho, in which Albert E. Bowen was reared and in which he lived until about the age of 18. When this picture was taken, the Bowen family had long since deserted this cabin. Okay. It's a typical log cabin, it's, it's small, but like log cabins are, You ever tried to build a log cabin? It's a lot of work. Anyway, I haven't, by the way, so I can't talk really. All right, the birth of Albert Ernest Bowen blessed a humble home on the 31st day of October, and Halloween baby, 1876, at Henderson Creek near Samaria, Idaho. He was the 7th child in a family of 10 and the youngest son. His parents, of fine Welsh and English stock, were pioneers. The father, David Bowen, came to Utah with a handcart company in 1856, and the mother, Annie Shackleton Bowen, walked across the plains with an ox team company in 1860. They were full of faith and unafraid of work. Indeed, they taught their offspring the value and beauty of labor and the need of the gift of faith. The early life of Elder Bowen was spent upon the farm, in the timbers, among the sheep and cattle. The homes in which the Bowen family lived were humble, the usual log cabins of those early days. His meager earnings went to assist supporting the growing family, as did the earnings of the other members of the family. The struggles of the family were many, indeed, many times, but before his day, they were without the real necessities of life. Oh, it sucks. Nevertheless, they faced the vicissitudes of life with faith and undaunted courage. With a prayer of gratitude, they sank to sleep at night. Albert E. Bowen knew the value of life when but a child. The rule of conservation was a part of his early training. He learned through hard experience the value of time, and therefore utilized it. He was considerate of those with whom he associated as companions. He learned and appreciated the discipline of a well-regulated home. The obedience which he gave to his noble father and devoted mother was not a duty to be reluctantly endured, but a privilege to be highly sought. His home life was built upon the principle of love, integrity, and hard work. Each day was approached with hope and determination, and closed with constructive work well done. In those early days, the thought that was uppermost in his mind was, "That which is worth having is worth working for." Brother Bowen referred always to his sainted mother as a student of life. Well read in the finest literature of the ages, she poised and graced the home with dignity and sustaining power. If he were asked to state her greatness, he would unhesitatingly say, with John Temple Graves, if I should seek to touch the inward source of her greatness, I would lay my hand upon her heart. Love carried her messages to all who came within the range of her acquaintance, and the honest throb of human sympathies kept her responsive to all things great and true. If there be but one thing pure where all else is sullied, that will endure when all else passes away. If there be aught surpassing human deed or word or thought, it is a mother's love. I don't like the punctuation of that quote, but yeah. Okay. His attitude, thought, and word toward his mother were eloquent and affectionate. His deep regard and love for his father was unbounded, true, and genuine. His relationship to his brothers and sisters was fine and splendid, always considerate of their welfare, and always recognizing their contributions to family life. The Bowen family was well organized. Consequently, there was complete understanding between father and mother, sons and daughters. The solution of family problems was shared among the members of the family. Cooperation was always a part of the family program. They agreed among themselves that all should receive as much schooling as possible, and therefore took advantage of the opportunities of the early rural school that the community could afford, as far as their meager means would allow. Alright, let's pause there for a moment and take a look at the pictures. This is David Bowen and Annie Shackleton Bowen, father and mother of Albert E. Bowen, from an earlier picture. Okay. And this is Albert E. Bowen as he appeared at about age 22 following his graduation from Brigham Young College in Logan, Utah. 22. He does not look 22. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. He looks about 16 in that picture. So, it's interesting. Albert E. Bowen as he appeared in the 1911 following his graduation from the School of Law at the University of Chicago. Alright, I'm trying to remember, was he the one that had twins and then his wife died in childbirth? And then he had to raise his identical twin boys by himself? I think that was him. If it wasn't, then I will correct myself, but yeah, challenging life, yeah? I think that was him. Alright, and then he became a lawyer because that was his, drive. That's what he wanted to do. Albert Bowen and his brother Charles F. left Samaria one early autumn day in the year 1896 for Logan and registered as students at the Brigham Young College. The achievements of the Bowens are a matter of record, and in that fine institution of learning, A.E. Bowen said that when they arrived in Logan, they were the personification of country life, green, unfinished, and very much afraid. But again, they brought with them their great heritage, willingness to work, and with this as their background, they entered upon their college careers. Naturally, college life was an entirely different problem to that of farm life, the solution of which meant hours, days, and months of concertation of mind. They were poor in the material things of life, but rich in ambition and mental power. As the days passed, they developed into commanding personalities. These Bowen brothers distinguished themselves as students at the BYC and later fulfilled the promise of their youth, when Charles F. specialized in geology and, after extended training in Eastern universities, became chief geologist for the Standard Oil Company, which position he holds today, well, in, 1937. Albert E. at first devoted himself to teaching and later to the practice of the law, in which he has been eminently successful. It required only a short time until A.E. Bowen arrived, so to speak. He found his place, and from thenceforth was like a light set upon a hill. His college life stands as a monument to courage and everlasting work. He carried away the thought that the path to a full and rich life is always open to the individual unless he closes it himself. From that time on, he never closed the door leading to light. He graduated from Brigham Young College in the year 1902 with an A.B. degree. I think that's a Bachelor of Arts, yeah? and with distinction and high honors. He became a member of the faculty during his later years at college and thus earned a little to help himself along. Yeah. I did the same thing. Yeah. His love for Brigham Young College, except it wasn't a Brigham Young College, so anyway. His love for Brigham Young College glows like the sun. The school will for all time be his first alma mater. It taught him how to think, and this, together with subsequent knowledge and experience, has taught him what to think. Though happy in the possession of the A.B. degree and a demonstrated capacity for the profession of a teacher, he dreamed dreams of further education and set about to have these dreams come true. Immediately after graduation, Elder Bowen accepted a call to take a mission to Germany. Oh, I forgot about that. Before leaving, he married Miss Aletha E. Reeder of Hyde Park, Utah. She, during his absence, worked in the county recorder's office at Logan, and from her small earnings contributed to his support during his time in the ministry. That's very noble of her, yeah? Elder Bowen became an effective missionary. He accepted all calls made of him, and his intelligent contribution to mission life helped advance the work of God in that foreign land. He was honorably released to return home after having served for a period of 3 years. All right, let's pause really quickly and take a look at this very interesting photo. There's a lot of people in it. So it says, the mothers and brothers and sisters of Albert E. Bowen as they appeared about 10 years ago. So that was in 1927. Yeah. Front row, left to right, Walter F. Bowen, David J. Bowen, Louis J. Bowen. Second row, center left to right, Emma Bowen Young and the mother of the family, Mrs. Annie Shackleton Bowen. Third row, left to right, C.F. Bowen, Albert E. Bowen, Mary Bowen Hawkins, Edith Bowen, and Agnes Bowen Waldron. All right, there you got it. So he's the one sitting on the wall on the right, yeah? All right, moving on. Upon his arrival at home, he accepted a position on the Brigham Young College faculty at Logan. He held this position until 1908 and became recognized as a very efficient teacher, always clear in statement whatever the subject taught. He impressed upon his pupils the principles of righteousness, honest thinking, and honest doing. He never attempted to teach unless he himself clearly understood the fundamentals of the subject matter. His ability was so well organized that he at one time was offered the presidency of Brigham Young College, and at another a position on the faculty of the Utah State Agricultural College. Wow. Crazy. And he turned both of those down? Like, I think that's interesting. I wonder why. In the year 1908, he entered Chicago Law School, from which he graduated in 1911 with distinction, with a degree of Doctor of Jurisprudence. At this institution, as well as at the other schools of learning which he attended, he has received honors and recognition. At the time of his graduation from the University of Chicago Law School, he was selected a member of the legal honorary fraternity, the Order of the Coif. Only 3 men of his class are elected to this fraternity, and Albert E. Bowen was one of them. Albert E. Bowen is the father of twin sons, that's right, Albert R. and Robert R. Bowen. Their mother passed on in 1905 at the time of their birth. Keep in mind, he was working in Logan at the time. Yeah. She was a beautiful woman, full of grace and truth, and well able to meet the issues of life. The sons have both filled missions in Germany and are graduates of the University of Utah and of Stanford University. They are engaged in the practice of law, one in San Francisco and the other in Salt Lake City. They are much like their worthy father in physical appearance and in character. Think about this. They were born in 1905, and he was working at Brigham Young College as a teacher at the time. That is why he turned down the presidency of the college. He didn't have time. Like, he was taking care of his small children, who he probably either had to put in care or had the help of a family member. Like, I can't think of any other option. He had twin boys that he had, they're identical also, and that he had to take care of. And then, I believe in 1908, because it says up until 1908 that he went to Chicago. Yeah, in 1908 he entered the Chicago Law School when his children were 3. Yeah? Did he take them with him, or did he leave them at home in the care of someone? See, I'm not actually sure, and they never actually say. And I've always wondered about that. Like, up until they were about 8 years old, he would have to have had a lot of help with them. Otherwise, he couldn't have worked. Yeah? I mean, after that, they can start looking after themselves to a certain extent for, an hour or two in the afternoons before he gets back from whatever he's doing. But, like, you have to be very flexible in order to be a parent. And Chicago Law School doesn't sound like something that would allow a flexible schedule. Just saying. I think he must have had help, and I don't know who helped him. And it annoys me a little bit that they don't get the credit that they deserve for helping with the children when they were very, very small. Unless, of course, he just put them in care, which is also a possibility. Yeah, maybe they were just in daycare, went to school, and then an after-school program, something along those lines. Possibly. So, anyway, as a single parent of children, I can sympathize with that, but I don't see how he could have done the practicalities without help. So, my best guess is that he left them in the care of a family member. But I don't know for sure, obviously. He may have just put them in care, so. Yeah, I don't know. Alright. After his graduation from the University of Chicago Law School, Brother Bowen entered into the practice of law as a member of the Logan law firm of Nebeker, Thatcher, and Bowen. Later, after Mr. Nebeker died, the firm of Thatcher and Bowen. During his residence in Logan, he won the confidence of the entire community. I wonder if that's a person related to Moses Thatcher. Moses Thatcher was not a lawyer, so it's not him, but besides the fact that the timing wouldn't make sense anyway, since he died in, 1909. But, I'm wondering if it wasn't one of his children, or grandchildren, possibly. Anyway, just throwing that out there. I don't know for sure. During his residence in Logan, he won the confidence of the entire community. He held many positions of trust. He was twice elected county attorney and was nominated by the Republican Party in 1916 for the state Supreme Court. He always distinguished himself as a fearless and effective defender of the right. Logan people referred to him as a most effective and intelligent teacher, attorney, and public servant. In the year 1920, he moved to Salt Lake City and became a member of the firm of Clark, Richards, and Bowen. Clark? Are we talking like J. Reuben Clark? Just a quick question, because he entered the first presidency in 1932, I want to say, and so 1920, he could have still been practicing law. I wonder if that was J. Reuben Clark. I'm just asking the question. I don't know who the Richards was. Stephen L. Richards? I don't know. It's just a question. I don't know if that's if any of them are those people. Maybe none of them are. So, anyway, he now heads the firm, Bowen and Quinney. Quinney as in Joseph Quinney, the author of the article? Question mark. I'm guessing that is the case, yes? His work as a lawyer has brought him in contact with all classes of people. Yeah, that's how lawyering works, yeah. He has handled the problems of individuals with the same accuracy, honesty, and fairness that he has given to the cases of great corporations which he has represented. He has never accepted questionable or unethical business. His rule of life would only permit of the very highest and the finest type of endeavor. In 1927, he was made vice president of the Utah Bar Association, and the following year was made president of that organization. He enjoys the confidence and respect of the legal fraternity and is recognized as one of the West's most able trial lawyers. In his profession, he stands above reproach. The achievements of Elder Bowen are many. Never for a moment has he lost sight of the value of religious life. Never has he refused any call made of him by the local or general authorities of the church. He has ever given his best, realizing that nothing less than his best would satisfy. He has always carried the thought that the greatest service that one man can do for others is to minister to the spiritual side of life, to bring men into the transforming fellowship of Jesus Christ. His power has been felt in religion classwork, Sunday schools, and mutual improvement associations. Before moving to Salt Lake City, he was superintendent of the Cash Stake Sunday Schools for 4 years, during which time, under his able management, the Sunday school work developed greatly. He has always built upon the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ. Soon after his arrival in Salt Lake City, Elder Bowen was named a member of the General Sunday School Board. His contributions to this organization were intelligent and constructive. He served in this capacity until January 1939, when he was called to serve as General Superintendent of the Young Men's Mutual Improvement Association. He has graced this office with dignity and power and has won the love and respect of his fellow workers in this cause. Okay, pause there. Let's take a look at the pictures. This is Aletha Reeder Bowen, deceased, first wife of Albert E. Bowen and the mother of his twin sons. And this is Annie Shackleton, mother of Albert E. Bowen, and a young niece as they appeared before leaving England as Mormon immigrants back in 1860. That's a long time ago, okay. And then this picture below is the Bowen family, left to right, Albert R. Bowen and Robert R. Bowen, twin sons of Albert E. Bowen. Lucy Gates Bowen, present living wife, and Albert E. Bowen. So yes, he did marry again. Which isn't a huge surprise considering he had children to raise, yes. It must always be remembered that one of the delightful and most important things of life is the association of a good wife. In 1916, Albert E. Bowen married Emma Lucy Gates, a woman talented and cultured in the arts of life. Her voice has stirred and inspired thousands upon thousands of people in foreign lands and in America. She is highly gifted in the musical, domestic, and social arts. Above all, she is a thorough Latter-day Saint. She mothered the two sons of Elder Bowen with devoted affection. She has always carried charm and beauty in her home. She has lifted her voice both in song and word in the defense of the work of God. She has upheld and sustained her worthy husband in all his endeavors throughout their married life. That's very sweet. The qualities of life of A. E. Bowen are numerous. Outstanding are his silent power, friendship, loyalty, and faith. To know him is to appreciate the, continued on page 311, the silent power that always radiates from his personality, so concluded from page 281. Modesty without assumption characterizes every movement of this fine man. Quoting from Thomas Carlyle, silence is the element in which great things fashion themselves together, that at length they may emerge fully formed and majestic into the daylight of life, which they are thenceforth to rule. A. E. Bowen's thoughts are fashioned and built in the silent hours of his life. There are many who join him in the thought that to be with him is to feel his strength. One naturally gravitates to him. There are those whose very presence are radiant with power. When A. E. Bowen speaks, whether in private or in public, his words are choice, majestic, and fine. His friendship is genuine. It is built upon the principle of love. He would gladly sacrifice his all for a devoted friend. To him, friendship is more than a passing phase. He never permits the good name of a friend to be smeared with unsavory words. He guards character as a thing sacred. He regards friendship as a holy possession, and would say with Ralph Waldo Emerson, a divine person is the prophecy of the mind. A friend is the hope of the heart. Our beatitude waits for the fulfillment of these two in one. His loyalty is deep and fine. He has been true to every trust given him. He has lived in the confidence of his friends. He has upheld and sustained every righteous movement that came under his observation. His loyalty to the presidency and general authorities of the church is without flaw. He rightfully said that he would follow in his new exalted calling the course that he has always been taught to pursue, to do the best he knows how to do, and sustain those with all his heart who have as their responsibility the directing of the affairs of the church. He loves the right and those who do the right. His given word is his pledged bond, and the bad faith of another never justifies its default. Faith has taught Albert E. Bowen to look up and not down. He has carried throughout his life the spirit of hope. His is a knowing faith. His contact with God has been genuine, sincere, and holy. He has sought his Creator through the agency of prayer, humility, determination, and work. His unassuming attitude toward people and things has brought him the thanks of grateful hearts, and now that he has come into an exalted place, an apostle of the Lord Jesus Christ, we unite in thought and word and action in our knowledge that God, through his servants, has selected a man of merit, capability, of power. In this day of grandeur and eloquence, splendor and glory, we join with John Temple Graves in his summation of life. Next to the radiance that flows from the Almighty's throne is the light of a noble and beautiful life, wrapping itself in tender benediction around the destinies of men, and finding its home in the bosom of the everlasting God. Such a benediction belongs to Albert E. Bowen, a man of great worth as an apostle of the Lord Jesus Christ. So, I don't feel like there was that many, pieces of information about himself. There was a few, but it was mostly talking about his character, which was the estimate of the author. I don't feel like that's really getting to know somebody as a person. I don't know. It's a little bit... I would rather have heard a few more facts and a little less praise, yeah? I do understand why it was the way it is, because he was introducing him basically as a member of the Quorum of the 12, where most of the people who were reading the article wouldn't have known who that was. So, anyway, I found as many stories and information as I possibly could find about this person, so hopefully it's as complete as possible, but this is my article on him. Albert E. Bowen. So I always have a scripture at the beginning, and for this person I chose Proverbs 1:5. A man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. Ordained 8 April 1937 at age 61 by Heber J. Grant. Biography. Albert Burt Ernest Bowen was born 31 October 1875. His birth date is sometimes mistakenly listed as 1876. Official church records listed as 1875. At Henderson Creek, Idaho, the seventh of 10 children to David Bowen and Annie Shackleton. Both of his parents were converts who immigrated to the United States, his father from Wales, immigrating as part of a handcart company, his mother from England. The family was a studious one, the parents instilling a love of books and learning into the children from an early age. His mother taught the classics, his father's the works of the church. Bert related the following about his mother. Mother was a great reader. She knew Dickens, Thackeray, Scott, and a good deal of Macaulay. She used to talk about them in their works. We got a chance to read some of the books she liked. Her father died in London when she was 10 years old, and she had to go to work. The girls where she worked lent her books, if she would read them and tell the girls the stories. In this way, she developed a wonderful memory. All of us were taught to read and write at home. We did not go to school to learn that. Mother was the teacher. Bowen, Boyhood Experiences for When I Was a Child, 1943, page 197. The development of his testimony could be traced back to a single event in his childhood. I must have been very small because my older brothers and sisters were at school and I was not. It was before I was permitted to go to school, at least in the winter time. To amuse me and keep me out from under her feet, my mother gave me some little brilliants in a bottle, something like the stage jewelry we have. I was treasuring it and thinking what a good time I was going to have when my brothers and sisters came home to show them what I had. But I lost it. I hunted everywhere, but I could not find it. I thought of the story of Joseph Smith going into the woods to pray. There were no woods near my home, except in the canyons, but we did burn wood for fuel. My father, mother, and brothers used to go in the fall to cut logs and put them in a pile near the house, and that was my idea of the woods. So I went out to that wood pile and knelt down and asked the Lord to tell me how to find the bottle. When I came back through the gate and turned the corner of the house, there it was, standing there staring up at me, and I couldn't miss it. I have never since had any doubt or misgivings about the Lord nor his approachability. Albert L. Zobell, 1953, page 652. And you know what's surprising about that experience, in my opinion, is that solidified in his heart that there is a God. And he was maybe 5 or 6, yeah? And of something so very, very simple, you lost something that you treasured, which really goes to show that God listens to all prayers, does it not? Like even the petty little silly things that we care about as small children, and that he still cares. And that is really cool that he felt that that feeling as he was looking for his lost treasure here. He related that he was rather athletically inclined as a child. I could swim before I was baptized. There were two things that I would rather do as a boy than eat, and they were to go swimming and play baseball. Bowen, Boyhood Experiences for When I Was a Child, 1943, page 185. He was grateful for the atmosphere in which he grew up. He related, I was brought up with a lot of reverence for the Sabbath day. The meetings of the Sabbath in the little church were held in great reverence by my folks, and yet I do not remember that they ever did much formal teaching about it. That was the atmosphere of the home. Somehow or other, we children got the lesson. My father was a quiet man. He did not say much. He was pretty self-possessed, very industrious and frugal. He never brought anything that he could not afford to pay for. He raised 10 children and gave them fair educational opportunities. He never had a mortgage on his farm or home in all his life. Bowen, Boyhood Experiences for When I Was a Child, 1943, page 185. He was no stranger to hard work. In addition to his regular farm chores of his boyhood, at the age of 10, he spent a winter homesteading with his eldest brother in Star Valley, Wyoming. Their diet that winter consisted of mostly venison. At age of 20, after holding a family council, it was decided that Bert and one of his older brothers should go to Logan, Utah to study at Brigham Young College. After completing his high school diploma, he first studied teaching and later law, graduating what would be today a BA with distinction and high honors in 1902. Following graduation, he married Aletha E. Reeder. Following his graduation, and the second... Okay. Yeah, because it was at the same time. Sorry, I didn't word that very well. Following his graduation again, he was called to serve a 2-year mission in Switzerland and Germany. It was at the same time. Upon his return in his mission in 1904, Bert became a member of the faculty at Brigham Young College. His wife, Aletha, died in childbirth to their twin sons, Albert and Robert, in 1905. The twins were Bert's only children, and eventually both served missions in Switzerland and Germany like their father. In 1908, Bert went east, intending to study history at Harvard and to pursue a career in education. However, during a stopover in Chicago, he met Dean Hall of the Law School of the University of Chicago, who was impressed with him and convinced him to stop and study law at Chicago. He did so, graduating with a Doctor of Jurisprudence with distinction in 1911, and was one of only 3 of his class selected for membership in the legal honorary fraternity, the Order of the Coif, which sounds weird, but I'm sure it's very prestigious. The attentive reader will realize that his achievements, while impressive, were not perhaps as timely as some would have expected. Elder Richard L. Evans said about the timing of Elder Albert E. Bowen's life, his was a late start, which he overcame magnificently with a steady course. He was 20 years of age before he began his high school work, 27 before he received his first college degree, married before he went on his mission, 29 when he returned. A widower at 32 with two infant sons. 33 before he started the study of law, 36 before he received a degree in jurisprudence with highest honors at the University of Chicago, and with that late start, years behind what most young men would these days consider essential. With all this, he rose to unusual eminence, professionally and personally. Albert L. Zobell, 1953, page 652. Following his graduation, he began to practice law in Logan, specializing in irrigation law. He served as county attorney in Cache County for 2 terms and was nominated in 1916 for the state Supreme Court. At this time, Bert served as the superintendent of the Cache Stake Sunday School Board. In 1916, Bert remarried, this time Emma Lucy Gates, one of the most famous soloists of the time and granddaughter of President Brigham Young. He moved to Salt Lake City in 1920 and began practicing law there together with J. Reuben Clark Jr., that's what I said, and Preston D. Richards in the firm of Clark, Richards, and Bowen. He was a very hard-working lawyer and was known to work until late into the night, while still being one of the first at the office the following morning. In 1920, when his kids were 15, I don't know, is that a good thing that he was working so hard? I don't know. It seems a bit workaholic-y of him, yeah? It was said of him as a lawyer, in court and out, he has been tenacious for truth and deliberate in judgment and stubborn in his insistent search for facts. No man ever rushed A.E. Bowen into a hasty decision or into speaking a loose sentence or a rash word. His opponents may have been exasperated by his deliberateness of times, but they always respected his appraisal of actual evidence and his ethics and honor and honesty, for when he has said that something was so, it has been because he has long considered it and believed it to be so. These and other qualities won for him an enviable eminence as a trial lawyer, as well as a valued counselor in corporate and personal problems. Evans, 1952, page 794. In 1922, he was called as a member of the General Board of the Deseret Sunday School Union. In this capacity, he served as chairman of the Missionary Training Committee. He was released from this calling January of 1935 to succeed George Albert Smith as General Superintendent of the Young Men's Mutual Improvement Association, YMMIA. This was the first time that anyone who is not a general authority served as the head of an auxiliary organization. Crazy, right? He traveled to Hawaii the summer of 1936 as part of his calling as General Superintendent of the YMMIA. This was the first time that the head of an auxiliary visited a regularly scheduled conference of a stake outside of the continental United States. So a lot of firsts, yeah? His wife, Lucy Gates Bowen, having spent 5 years of her childhood in Hawaii, delighted in the opportunity to sing in Hawaiian, accompanied by the ukulele. Cool, right? I liked that story. In April 1937 conference, Albert E. Bowen was suddenly and surprisingly sustained as a member of the Council of the 12. Here was his response to his call. I hope none of you was more shocked at the proceedings of this day so far as they concern myself than I was. I have never regarded myself as a person of particular consequence, and why I should have been asked to assume this responsible position I do not know. In my lifetime I have dreamed many dreams. I have nursed many ambitions, but this was never one of them. I have never coveted, never sought, and never desired any preferment in the church. I have been happy all the days of my life to work in it, and would have been content to remain in places where I would not be forced to occupy public position. But since the call has come, I do what I have always been taught to do, namely, respond, and pledge you that I will give it all my strength. Bowen, 1937, page 118. As part of his duties as a member of the Quorum of the 12, he served as an advisor to the church welfare program, for which he wrote a course of study. This was a significant work during World War II and the aftermath of the war, where so many people were in need of the basic necessities of life. Yeah, so he was helping to rebuild Europe, basically. At the beginning of World War II, he, along with elders Harold B. Lee and Hugh B. Brown, visited the military installations and camps all over the country to get the church servicemen's program underway. Okay, so in the U.S. is what I understand. So he didn't go to Europe, at least not at that time. Elder Bowen also served as a member of the Church Expenditures Committee and Church Auditing Committee, giving invaluable legal advice in all financial matters. Yeah, he's a lawyer. Around this time, Elder Bowen gave an eloquent series of radio programs which were later compiled and printed in book form entitled Constancy Amid Change. Then, in April of 1951, his wife, Emma Lucy Gates Bowen, died unexpectedly. Just over a year later, Elder Bowen fell ill of a condition that would eventually be the cause of his death. Elder Albert E. Bowen died 15 July 1953 of arteriosclerosis after suffering from the effects for more than a year. Arteriosclerosis is a hardening of the arteries caused most usually by high cholesterol, I understand. And that condition can cause the artery walls to crack and bleed and stuff like that. And this is not a good thing. Not a good thing. It can also lead to a heart attack. So I'm not sure in what form it eventually killed him, aneurysm or heart attack, but possibly both, But yeah, he suffered the effects, so he was having problems with his heart and circulation. So here's my conclusion. What kind of a man was Elder Albert E. Bowen? He was a studious man. He had a serious nature. He had an uncommon intelligence, but was not a prodigy. He was a diligent worker. He was a man of sound understanding of the world in which he lived and the true needs of that world. He was a hard worker, especially when it came to his callings in the church, serving faithfully on the general board of the Deseret Sunday School Union and as superintendent of the Young Men's Mutual Improvement Association of the church, not to mention the 15 years he served as apostle. But if you think back, 15 years as an apostle is not that long, yeah? I mean, how long have the apostles that are serving now, have they served? Yeah? It's crazy to think about. He was eloquent and spoke to the educated. He used his talents for the betterment of those around him. He did not give up easily. His determined streak helped him to finish law school in his mid-30s, while the single parent of 2 small children. He never sought callings in the church. They sought him. He served faithfully all the days of his life. Yeah? And I think that's kind of the highest praise you can give to someone, yeah? And as he said, he didn't really seek the honor of the world. He was okay with being in the background. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why the world has forgotten him, yeah? But I hope that this will help anyone who sees it to not forget him. The main articles I used were Albert L. Zobell Jr., 1953, A.E. Bowen, 1875 to 1953, The Improvement Era, September 1953, so. And then there's the page numbers. Then Milton Bennion, 1946, in The Instructor of June, and it was called Albert E. Bowen. And, well, as a whole bunch of conference talks, which is what these are, and then at the end, the other articles are The Paradise of the Pacific welcomes the leaders of the MIA from the Improvement Era, October 1936. Boyhood Experiences 4 When I Was a Child from The Instructor from April 1943. Richard L. Evans from The Improvement Era, November 1952, called Albert E. Bowen, A Lesson from One Man's Life. Dr. W. W. Henderson from the Relief Society magazine, June 1937, called Albert Ernest Bowen. Andrew Jensen, Latter-day Saint Biographical Encyclopedia, from Volume 4, because he didn't appear in the earlier ones. But I believe he appears in that one as the superintendent of the YMMIA. Yeah. Mark E. Peterson from the Relief Society magazine, September 1953, In Memoriam Albert E. Bowen. And then the article we just read, Joseph Quinney from the Improvement Era, May 1937, Albert E. Bowen. And from The Instructor from September 1953, called Constant Amid the Changes. That was his radio program, yeah. Also, Relief Society magazine from June 1951, In Memoriam Emma Lucy Gates Bowen. Yeah, so those are the sources that I used. If you aren't interested, then you can take a look at those if you get a little more in depth. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the article today, and you learned a little bit more about Albert E. Bowen. Interesting person. I'm really glad that he was such a hard worker, that he was so faithful, and that he was so willing to be obedient and to get up and do, and he was very industrious, you know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next video.